the victim's lawyer, Bradley Edwards, has seen the files. So if they try to do something that is political, then many other people would call them out on it.
That's right. 2 Epstein stories today because that much is happening on the Epstein front. And I know so many of you are really passionate about this story and you don't want it to go away. This story is a reminder of why that is. Trump's Department of Justice trying to hide 2 names, trying to keep 2 names secret. My name is Brittany Page. I host the Page Perspective right here on YouTube. And today I'm Jesse's guest host because he has COVID. Let this be a reminder to you that COVID is absolutely still a thing. If you are going to be traveling, if you're going to be in areas where there are a lot of people, please mask up. I still wear masks because I am every week working in a psychiatric hospital where we mask up in a hospital setting. So it's something that I have never stopped doing. I've continued to do it, but it's also really important. I do it when I travel. I do it on airplanes, and it really, really helps everyone. Okay. So don't cough into the air when you go into the airport, please, or anywhere else. Thank you to Jesse for letting me guest host today. Thank you for being here with me because this is an important story. So this is new reporting from NBC News about Trump's Department of Justice. DOJ says names of 2 associates Epstein wired $100,000 and $250,000 to should stay secret. The Justice Department request came after NBC News asked a federal judge to unseal the names of 2 people Epstein paid and helped protect from prosecution. And let's just get right into it. Quote, the Justice Department on Friday asked a federal judge overseeing the case of deceased sex trafficker Jeffrey Epstein to deny a request from NBC News to unseal the names of 2 associates who received large payments from him in 2018, court documents show. The Justice Department cited privacy concerns expressed by the 2 individuals as the reason for not making their names public. The first associate received a payment of $100,000 from Epstein, and the second associate received a payment of $250,000, both in 2018. Days after the Miami Herald began publishing a series of investigative stories where victims criticized a plea deal he received in Florida in 2008. As part of the plea agreement, Epstein secured a statement from federal prosecutors in Florida that the 2 individuals would not be prosecuted. So there are several fascinating things about this reporting. One, that payments were made after the Miami Herald reporting that exposed Epstein began being published. That reporting by Julie K. Brown, fantastic reporter, specifically 2 days after the Miami Herald reported on his non-prosecution agreement. Back to the reporting here, quote, prosecutors wrote that on November 30th, 2018, Epstein, quote, wired $100,000 from a trust account he controlled to an individual named as Redacted, a potential co-conspirator, and for whom Epstein obtained protection in the NPA, the non-prosecution agreement. Prosecutors also wrote that this individual was also named and featured prominently in the Herald series. Prosecutors added that, quote, these same records show that just 3 days later, on or about December 3rd, 2018, the defendant wired $250,000 from the same trust account to Redacted, who was also named as a potential co-conspirator and for whom Epstein also obtained protection in the NPA. The prosecutors continued, quote, this individual is also one of the employees identified in the indictment, which alleges that she and 2 other identified employees facilitated the defendant's trafficking of minors by, among other things, contacting victims and scheduling their sexual encounters with the defendant at his residences in Manhattan and Palm Beach, Florida. Prosecutors said in the filings that Epstein's payments may be evidence of efforts to influence witnesses. Now, NBC News has until September 12th to respond to the request from DOJ to keep these names secret based on, of course, objections from the 2 people whose names are redacted. We should all want to know these names. Democrats, Republicans, it doesn't matter. I hear sometimes from people who say, well, what if Democrats are in the files? You want to hide their names? No. Why? What? Why would I want to hide anyone's name who is involved in a child sex trafficking ring? Why would I want to protect anyone involved in that? Well, Bill Clinton's going to be in there. Okay, yeah. What am I, some Bill Clinton defender? Are you joking? We also played a clip earlier in the show from Republican Thomas Massie, who is co-sponsoring with Representative Khanna the Epstein Files Transparency Act. And this is, of course, to force the Trump administration to release more documents about Epstein and his sex trafficking operation. He also was interviewed this weekend by George Stephanopoulos, and he was asked over whether he has concerns that should this legislation pass, should they be forced to release the Epstein files? Is Representative Khanna worried that the Department of Justice will scrub the files before releasing them? Let's see what he said.
Congressman Khanna, the Justice Department is controlled by President Trump. It's pretty clear right now. Are you concerned that even if you force the release, there will be some scrubbing of the files? Democrats will be implicated and Republicans won't?
It's a concern, but the victim's lawyer, Bradley Edwards, has seen the files, as have many people who are career officials. So if they try to do something that is political, then many other people would call them out on it. You know, you can get away with things, George, if the American people aren't paying attention. The American people are dialed into this. They want to know that as a country we can stand with survivors. The amount of messages I got from women who had been assaulted, who said, thank you for standing up for survivors, was overwhelming. And they want to know that we can protect our children. And they want to know that they're not two Americas, that rich and powerful people are going to be held to account for assaulting underage girls. I hope that this actually brings us together. I mean, the new roll call had Marjorie Taylor Greene and me hugging after an emotional moment. Some people criticized me, but other people said the survivors are actually bringing this country together around fundamental values.
So let me just say, and it's not the point, but I disagree with Khanna on Marjorie Taylor Greene, that Marjorie Taylor Greene is correct about calling what's happening in Gaza a genocide, that she is correct about pushing to release the Epstein files and for there to be transparency here, and that she is supporting victims of the Epstein sex trafficking ring. That doesn't make her a good person. That doesn't make her someone that should be championed. That doesn't make her someone that should be promoted. She is still someone who has promoted anti-Semitic conspiracy theories, racist conspiracy theories. She's someone who has been abusive to progressives. She's not a friend of the left. And this is kind of I think, a mistake that Democrats keep making, is while you have people like Stephen Miller talking about Democrats as though they are subhuman and the enemy, Republicans will do like one thing right, and Democrats are like, yeah, we're ready to extend the hand. We're ready to work with the other side. Let's hug and be friends. And, you can work with these people. I'm not saying that. Of course, if Marjorie Taylor Greene is willing to be reasonable about this for once in her life, then yeah, use that to your advantage. But we don't need to go so far as to try to massage her reputation or make her more acceptable than she is, or that she needs to be, I guess I should say. So, and this is the same thing with RFK, where people during RFK's presidential run, and even when he was meeting with Kamala for a possible position in the cabinet, there was this tendency to be like, well, he's right about some things. He has good advice about how we need to eat healthier. Yeah, so do like first graders, okay? It doesn't mean that he has a stranglehold on logic or an understanding of scientific evidence or training to be the Secretary of Health and Human Services, okay? But this is a fear, okay? The main point being, will the Department of Justice scrub the files before release to protect Donald Trump or anyone else that they, like Thomas Massie said earlier, about the billionaire donors to Republicans? Will they scrub names? This is a concern. Khanna doesn't seem concerned about it because he says the Epstein victims' attorneys have seen the files. They know what's in there. They'll know if it has been scrubbed. But it's still concerning. What are they hiding? We still have so many unanswered questions. I would love to know what you think in the comments, or you can call and leave Jesse a fewer than 3-minute voicemail at 714-576-4054, or send an email to daily@dollemore.com. You can also subscribe. It's free. You can go to my channel and subscribe. My name is Brittany Page. I host the Page Perspective right here on YouTube, and I'm going to link to my channel in the description below because I'm in charge today. I am running the channel today. So if I want to link to my channel, I get to link to my channel. Support our work on Patreon at patreon.com/idoubtitpodcast, or become a channel member right here on YouTube for as little as $1.99 a month and support our efforts. All right, be genuine. Take care of one another.